All right, combining soybeans. There's the first load going into the truck. Coming right in at 13%. Our moisture's off there. We'll see if our bushels are on. We're just over 40 bushels, 41 bushels there. So we will see how close that is. And there it goes. It's starting to go down in the tank. We're loading there. I will have Declan do some videoing of us actually combining once we get back in the field. And we'll see how it goes. This end's looking pretty good. Nice beans on this end of the field. We're sometimes I'm seeing 50 bushels, over 50 bushels on the field monitor. The other end of the field we're about 30, but we have a lot of deer pressure on the other end of this field. So we will see what we average across this 25 acres.
We're combining beans.
Yep. Yeah.
Starting on our first load.
Yep. How's it going so far?
We have gotten one load in already. And we're on our next load.
Yep. How many rows are we combining?
Rows at a time.
Yep. And is there anything special about the way we planted these?
And the rows are double.
Double, yep. And we no-tilled, so you can see the corn stalks.
Yep.
Yep. And we are running about 13% moisture. Okay, we've got a little short bit here. We'll turn around and grab that.
Second half row, and the semi truck is over there.
Variety of beans is fairly short. We'll see how we end up doing field wise. I see a rock going on the header down there. When we get to the end here, I'll pick up and shut the header off. Grab that rock out of there. See that rock down there? Roll that rock.
Yep.
Header down. Let it down a little bit. Okay, I'm going to jump out and get that rock. Let's turn off the video if you want.
Ow.
So combining was going well until I picked up a rock, and that leads us to the shed and the parts combine. So what happened was we picked up a rock, it jammed our feeder house apron and busted it. So I am going to attempt to pull this feeder house chain out of here and then go back and install it on the other combine. I got that back at the shop. So I've got this cover off here on the top. We pull this front shield off where it hooks up to the head. The part I'm not sure of, the other one was already off in the back, but I'll have to see what it's going to take to turn that top roller to get this spun out of here. We will find out. Well, that could have gone worse. Actually didn't go too bad. The connectors were in a halfway decent spot. I left the tension on the chain and just knocked the connectors out. And then the top part of the chain was able to roll out. Then I just unhooked this chain here, going back to the drive, which allowed the top one to freewheel. You can hear I'm still out of breath from tugging on the chain. And then I was able just to slide it out the bottom, work it out, and there's my chain. As you can see, it does not look like a whole lot of wear on this chain, so not a bad one to put in. Save myself $1,000 ordering a new one. We'll put this one in. Hopefully it doesn't go in too bad. All right, here we are back at the shop. Got the apron there in the back of the truck. There's the old apron out. There's the offending rock. It jammed itself right in here behind this bottom drum. And you can see some scars right there. So now I just got to, I suppose I should clean out the soybeans so I don't have to fight them. Get them fished in there. I should undo this chain here so that that top will freewheel. And let's see here, tension. This must be our tensioner for that. So I should back that way off. So I got some slack to work with. And we will see how it goes. Okay, it was a little putsy, but I think I've got it. Now, oh, I gotta pull this one connector on here, and then I just have to figure out the best way to fish that in there. Get it all the way up, loop her on through, and get it connected. We're halfway in, so I've got a ratchet strap that I fed through. We're up to the top, so I just started the chain on that top sprocket, and we're going to see if we can just keep pulling it right on through. Hopefully this works. All right, a tool highlight. We've got ourselves here a chain puller. This thing is slick. I don't know how long I have fought with chains. Now you just take and draw this up. Fits on most chains without fighting, putting twine strings between them, all the different tricks you do before. That is really slick. Okay, I think we kind of won so far. The feeder house chain is back in. Just have to tension that back up. Hook up this chain. When I went to take it apart, I found this connector link. Didn't have any cotter keys in it, so probably a good thing I found that at the same time. Don't need that falling apart while we're out there. So hopefully we'll be back in business by 8 o'clock, and maybe we won't get a due tonight. Last night I did get going about a little after 8 o'clock. Made a couple rounds. The stems were getting a little bit rubbery, and my sickle isn't the sharpest, so it was having a hard time cutting them off, and it was dark. I picked up another rock, so I decided to call it a night. Did look here last night. Oh, let's see if we can focus on that right there. There, we got another rock. So at least we didn't break the chain. You can see where there's some scarring on that apron there, but we got to try and get that out of there and then get going again this morning. All right, we've got one hopper load in the semi already today. Got another 300 bushels to go and the semi will be full. We'll see how close we get to finishing the field. I'm guessing I'll have a little left over. I'll just carry that to the next field in my hopper here. But definitely am driving a little more diligently today. Looking for rocks. Don't need another breakdown. Be nice to get this all pounded out while we have the weather holding. All right, we finished the first 25-acre field. Got the last of the beans going in the truck. Might be running a little bit heavy. We will see by our weigh slip how close we are. So this is showing it should be 1,062 bushels. It will be on the truck. Very close to that. I suppose there could be some the combine doesn't completely clean out, but we will see how that compares. We're running just shy of 42 bushels an acre, and the acreage came out pretty close there, so I'm gonna say maybe a little extra overlap on the headlands as we picked up and set down. It should be right around that 25 acres, maybe just a touch more, so we're gonna go with that's accurate. Definitely got some green ones in here, green pods, but for the most part, these are nice sized beans here. And yeah, we're running right around 12%. You can see my tracks out in the field, which I feel is a good sign, because this field, it was a hay field. We no-tilled into corn last year, and now no-tilled into beans this spring. And for the ground to be soft late in the year like this, that means that we probably got earthworms doing their job, loosening the soil and making sure that we've got good aeration there, and we're not dealing with a lot of compaction like you might expect to have without doing tillage. So yeah, I like to see just a little bit of track there. We're not leaving ruts, but you can see indent to the combine, so that means we don't have a bunch of compacted soil. Okay, we're on our second field. This one's about 28 acres. We're about 7 acres into it. 5 o'clock. We are rolling along a little bit slower on this field. The vines are a little bit on the green side, but it's still testing at about 13% moisture. So we're good to roll. Loading it in the truck. We've got one hopper in it so far, and the second one's getting close to full. Okay, when I shut down the other night, I thought I heard a clunking sound. Sure enough, did a little bit more exploring. You can see we got parts and pieces of a bearing here. You got balls in your hand there, Declan? There, yep, big old bearing. Sure enough, it's this eccentric arm bearing that goes back to our straw walkers and our separators there, so that runs the shakers, pushes it back and forth. And that bearing is out. Of course, it isn't on the easy side. On the other side, we've got this variable speed for the fan that is in the way. Well, we're still trying to get all the way down to that bearing. We got this shaker shoe pulley, which is $1,000. I did find one on eBay. I did crack it. You can kind of see right, well, maybe you can't, right there you can kind of see the crack. 2 of the 3 webs cracked when I put the puller on it last night. But I was able to confirm from the picture on eBay that it is splined all the way through this pulley. So we are applying heat. We are going to heat this thing up as hot as we can get it. And then we can do some tapping, a little gentle pulling so we don't break it the rest of the way off. So we can get this thing off. I'll weld up those cracked parts there. And then the bearing is sitting right behind this. We're so close yet so far, so we'll see what we can do. I'm running out of options. We got our spline shaft there. I've cut through my pulley to the shaft. Not all the way in the back, but I hit it with a chisel and you can see a crack there, so it is split. But even so, it will not budge. There's no real good way to get a puller on there. You can see pretty well now in this video. My cracks, one there on those two webs. That was from pulling on the outside. I'm not sure. Been beating on it till I'm blue in the face, heating on it till it's red. Put the puller on it where I can. It's not moving. All right. Saturday afternoon, after a week of work, we got it off. However, it's in a lot of pieces. I'm going to try my best to put it back together and hope it holds together. And now we can finally get to this bearing. I better make sure that we got the right bearing here before we get too far. And yeah, hopefully we can get combining this afternoon yet. Okay, it's time for the tricky part. We're in the shop. We've got the 3 pieces on the center. We got to weld those back together, and then we got to piece them into this outside piece. So hopefully we can do that successfully. So I'd been wishing for the shaft. I happened to think to look for a clutch alignment tool. Happened to find one with just the right splines. So stick that in there. It's plastic, so we're not going to leave it in there too long, but enough to get this tacked up into place. And then we'll double check it before we drag this thing all the way back to the combine. Make sure that we've got everything in place. Well, here's what we're going for. Took a week to get there. That's off. And now got our $150 bearing. Here's the new bearing in this arm. We'll slide that on there. Here's our welded up pulley. Hopefully it holds. Got my fingers crossed. Use nickel rod. And because there's those 3 bolts that'll be driving it, I'm a little bit more comfortable. If it was just splines, probably not. We'd probably be buying ourselves a $1,000 pulley, which we might be doing yet anyway. If this thing falls apart after a couple acres, there we go. One step closer. Got our bearing and arm in on the other side here. We do a little bit of prying since it fits tight. That's all installed. So next we're going to slide our pulley on. It's bolted up. We don't sit real tight on that shaft, but we're bolted to the hub behind that, so I guess I'm not too worried about the spline part of it, as long as the jerking of the shaker shoe doesn't end up cracking these web welds. So I welded it on both sides. I'm hoping it holds. We are back in the field. We made our first pass. We're back on our second pass here. Running in there right about 40 bushels an acre, which is what it was doing before. There is no green stems left here anymore. When I had to quit the other day, before I broke down, or as I broke down, I should say, there was a lot of green in here, but not so much today. So plenty dry. We'll see how much we can get out tonight. They're calling for rain tomorrow. We are just about done. We're on the back side of this field, and we got a lot of grass here, as you can see. And with a pad of, I've got some missing sickle teeth and some dull guards, and it's not cutting the greatest. So we're not moving along that fast. We're just kind of working through it, but we're just about there. Got this strip left, that little triangle there, and the little triangle over there. So another acre or 2, and we're going to have the beans done. So far the welding job is holding together on that pulley. doesn't look like it is stressed at all up to this point, looking at it. So hopefully that comes through all right. There you can see some deer down at the end, kind of. There was a bunch out here the other night, including some nice bucks. But yeah, so hopefully that keeps rolling. We'll make it through corn, and we'll make a decision on what we're going to do next year if we keep running this same rig. At the very least, we need to do a lot of work to this header. And I know the corn header needs a little bit of work, but I think that one isn't too bad. Some gathering chains and such. But yeah, got to figure out at some point when you quit putting money into an old piece of equipment. And if we got to go through this header or get a different header, maybe it's time to look at switching colors. There's not a lot of New Holland in our area, so not a lot of parts support, which is the biggest reason I go away from this twin rotor combine. Otherwise, I really like the combine. It seems to do a nice job and easy to use and all of that. So yeah, we will keep plugging away. There we have it. Last of the beans. So, well, that's dumping in the box there. This field we did 44.1 acres an hour, just shy of 28 acres, which sounds about right, and 977 bushels, which average out to 35 bushels an acre, and 8.5% moisture. I don't think that's right. Alright, so not the best running beans, but we had some grass through here that had a little hard time getting on top of early on, and I think that really stunted our yields. But all in all, better than it could have been. We got her done, combine held together, and we just got to get the last of these beans on the truck to town and start in on corn. Thanks for watching. Alright, October 30th, we finally have a night when the truck isn't full. So I've got the tractor hooked up to the auger. We've got soybeans in the shed there, so I'm waiting for my ride for a second tractor to pull those boxes of beans out. And we've got about half a truckload of beans here to load up, and then we will be able to close the bean chapter for 2025. If you look way over there, you will see got a couple gravity boxes full of corn as well. So we're going to do a split load on this truck here. Beans in the front, I'll put corn in the back. We'll run those in tomorrow morning. That'll help me calibrate the yield monitor on the combine. I'll put 2 hoppers in there. That'll tell me 2 things. I'll have a known value, how many bushels it says on the yield monitor versus how many we actually get at the scale house. And then it will also tell me, I was curious to know how many bushels my hopper actually holds. So we'll know that. We'll have 2, we'll average it, and we'll know what the hopper on that TR96 combine is. Spec says 230 bushels. I am willing to bet it's closer to 200. But you'll have to check out our 2025 corn harvest video for that information. That'll be coming a little bit later. Alright, here it is. Public service announcement. Make sure you close your little door. up with beans on the ground. But we caught it pretty quick. Got these beans going in. There we go. Going to town. Alright. Dusty.